Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey Smith. I'm the Marketing Cloud Administrator at Purdue University's Mitch Daniel School of Business. And today I'm so excited to dive into the world of email audits, something that is essential for making sure our email communications are not only effective, but also compliant with industry standards. I know audits might sound boring or dry, but I promise they're not. And they're really a game changer for your email program when they're implemented and done right. And maybe after this presentation, you might think they're kind of fun too. As we get started here, let's set the stage a little bit. Email audits might seem like something that's only for compliance or deliverability, but there's so much more than that. When done right, they can transform your email strategy, helping you understand your audience better, improve engagement rates, and stay on the cutting edge of industry trends. So today we're going to go beyond the basics of email audits to talk about how you can use this as a tool for continuous improvement as well. Here's what we're going to cover today and what I hope you will take away from this session. One, how to identify the scope and objectives of an email audit. Two, how to establish a systematic approach to planning your audits. Three, why regular email audits are crucial for continuous improvement and compliance. I really want you to walk away today with practical steps and best practices to get started or improve on your email audits. Beyond understanding what email audits are, I want to emphasize how regularly conducting audits can significantly improve your overall email program's efficiency and effectiveness. You'll not only see better engagement rates, but also reduce the chance of falling into non-compliance traps that can hurt your brand. First, let's talk about identifying the objectives of your email audit. Why are you even doing this in the first place? It could be to improve your email deliverability, assess your content performance, or even ensure compliance with laws like GDPR or CAN spam. The key is to define really clear objectives for your specific email program. Having clear objectives for your audit will also guide your team and help secure buy in from leadership. For example, if your goal is compliance, emphasize the potential risks of non-compliance, such as fines or reputation damage. If your goal is performance-based, illustrate how improving email engagement metrics can drive conversions and revenue. Tailoring these goals to your organizational needs makes the audit a strategic tool for you rather than just a checkbox. So these objectives are going to be unique for you, your emails, your organization. But I think we can all start with some of the same questions. So let's start with the basics. What areas for you need the most attention? Are there any major deadlines coming up that will affect your emails and your strategy? What do you want to accomplish? What do you need to accomplish? Remember, want and need are two very different things. Your needed things are generally going to take priority here, so make sure you keep that in mind as you're answering these questions. And then after you go through the basics, dive into those more granular questions that come from those answers. For example, you might start asking yourself questions like, are my emails reaching the right audience? How can I optimize engagement through segmentation? By answering these questions and tailoring them to your needs, you'll set a strong foundation for your audit. Once you have your objectives, it's time to outline your project. Think about the areas you want to include in the audit. So, really think about those questions we just laid out, write down your answers, and once you identify the areas that need improvement, outline your audit project in a way that's digestible and actionable. So think about segmenting tasks into buckets. So your quick wins, small things that you can fix now, and your long term strategies. So things that are going to take more time but have bigger impact. Having a structured project plan will keep your audit from feeling overwhelming and ensure you can make incremental improvements. So I've listed some ideas here to get you started. These are just some frequent ones that I keep on my email audits pretty frequently. Analyzing past performance data, reviewing email copy and layout, evaluating audience segmentation and journey strategies, checking links in all emails. The goal here is to get a clear picture of what's working, what's not, and where you can improve. Maybe your email copy is outdated or your layouts could use a refresh. You might also find that your A/B testing strategy needs tweaking. The important thing is to assess where you are right now so you can figure out where to go next. In this section, I also like to dig a little deeper into the specific tasks. For example, if checking email links is on there, I go into consider tracking UTM codes as part of your audit to ensure you're measuring performance of each link. When reviewing segmentation, ask yourself if you've tested different approaches. This is also where you can start to challenge yourself a little bit. Start to think beyond what you've always done. Get those fresh ideas flowing. Fresh ideas will lead to fresh results. When I first started at Purdue in the Daniel School of Business, we were just launching Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And through that process of creating new content, journeys, segmentation, moving all of that over to our new platform, that was almost an audit in itself, right? So I took a lot of what we implement in our regular audits today from that process, knowing how much that leveled up our emails and our strategy. One of the best ways to tackle an email audit is by staying organized. I'm an organizational queen. It is my favorite part, so I'll try not to nerd out about this section too much. No promises though. So, where we want to start is by creating that overarching project that includes your initial objectives, your timeline, all of your team members, and you're not going to have all of these details up front at this stage. Just get started by outlining this right from the get go to set yourself up for success. It's all about creating structure. Having that single source of truth will help ensure nothing falls through the cracks, especially when deadlines approach and when things inevitably change, as they always do. Having that solid framework allows you to pivot more easily. You'll see some examples and images on these slides. Our team uses Airtable for our project management tool, so that is where these are coming from. But whatever your team is already using for project management and tracking, use that. There are so many tools out there, so stick with the process that works for your team. Next, we want to break this project down into tasks. Assign due dates, add task descriptions, assign team members. Keeping track of all of these details will help you maintain momentum and ensure that everyone involved is clear on their role and how it plays a part in the larger picture. Add these as you go. Again, you don't need to have everything to get started. This basic structure is what's going to set you up for success. I know sometimes it can seem really daunting, especially if you're new to an organization, going through a rebrand, or overhauling your email program. These are huge undertakings. And if you're just starting your email audit journey, you're likely going to have a lot to review. So just take this one step at a time and don't overwhelm yourself. As we break down tasks, don't forget to prioritize them based on the overall goal of the audit, also. So, for instance, if compliance was one of your main focuses, prioritize those tasks like CAN spam audits or GDPR checks first. If performance was more of your main goal, focus on items like A/B testing and analytics reviews. Use this task list not just as a way to stay organized, but to communicate progress and potential roadblocks also. And I'm always happy to chat all things organization. I could talk about that all day long. I will say that our team has a great process for staying organized with tasks laid out in our projects. So please feel free to reach out if you ever want to talk more in depth on what might work well for your team. And try different things too. Just because this is the way that works best for our team doesn't necessarily mean that will be the case for yours. It might take some trial and error to see what works well for you and your organization, especially if this is a new process for you. All right, now that we have a plan in place, we're organized, it's time to establish our audit approach. Your approach to the audit should be adaptable. Whether it's a top down review or starting with a deep dive into specific metrics like deliverability rates, this approach will differ based on your objectives. So think of your audit approach as a living, breathing document. It can evolve as you face new challenges or new opportunities arise. Before you dive into the nitty-gritty of the audit, before you get started, I know it's exciting. You want to dive in. Have that initial kickoff meeting with your team. This is a really important piece. This is your chance to align on goals and set expectations together. So keep this meeting focused. I like to have it at about an hour and a half. Any more, I feel like it gets a little bit long. And during this meeting, outline what topics will need further discussion outside of this space as well. This way, everyone's on the same page from the very beginning. So, this kickoff meeting isn't just a formality, it's a crucial alignment moment for your team. So, you're going to use this time to not only assign roles and responsibilities, but to foster a shared understanding of why this audit matters for your team. Highlight the why behind your objectives. Get everyone engaged from the start by asking for their input on what they think should be prioritized. They'll have their own experiences with your email program, so get everyone's feedback here. One method I love is to start by reviewing email analytics over a specific period of time, say the last quarter. Look for trends and identify your strengths and weaknesses as a team. Then think about any upcoming changes. Do you have any brand updates, content shifts, anything that might impact your email strategy moving forward? This will give you a great start to adding those tasks to your project. And you'll notice I talked about project creation, task creation, and organization all before I mentioned the kickoff meeting. And that was very intentional. I like to have the basic project structure created and some initial tasks in the project already so it's easy to manipulate and add to as you go. Plus, I think it creates a great structure for the kickoff meeting, and you give yourself that time to brainstorm so you're organized and prepared as you bring it to the larger team. Also, tip if you don't do this already, please include your agenda in your email invite. This will give your team a head start to think about these items and come up with ideas. This is a lot to cover. This is a long meeting. So, we have to think about how we want this email audit to look like. So, give your team a little time to think about that on their own. I know I personally like to take time to think about this and have some talking points already prepared for the group come kickoff time. So, your kickoff meeting is not the place to decide everything. I'm willing to bet you have at least 2 to 3 things that need a deeper conversation. So, after your kickoff meeting, schedule deep dive sessions on those specific topics that need more focused brainstorm and discussion. These sessions allow your team to focus on the details without overwhelming that kickoff meeting and making it super long. Plus, maybe everyone from the kickoff meeting doesn't need to be involved for some discussions. So, also take time to think about narrowing down to your essential team members for certain areas. I think that gives those deep dive meetings a more meaningful impact anyway, having those smaller group discussions. Some examples of deep dive sessions that I've done with my team include SMS strategy, A/B testing, and email content review. This dedicated time really gave us a space to explore each of those areas thoroughly and come up with a plan for those tasks in the audit. One of the larger ones for us was content review. I mentioned before that we created new content and journeys as we moved over to Marketing Cloud. So, a year after that initial launch, we had gone through a rebrand and decided we really needed to go journey by journey, looking at the strategy and content of each email and making sure that still aligned with what our goals were. So, for that, we had deep dive meetings for each of our main journeys. So, in total, that was about 5 to 6 deep dive sessions just for content review. So, this part can be really extensive based on your unique needs. Now, are we going to have deep dive content reviews during every one of our audits? Probably not. But your audits will change based on the needs of your team at that time. So don't go into this process thinking that each email audit is going to be exactly the same. But this will give you a good layout and a process that you can apply to each one. Okay, here we go. More organization, the best part. Now that you've had your kickoff meeting, you've planned out deep dive conversations, maybe you've had one by now, it's time to enter the manage the project phase. So compile all of these tasks, and these are going to come from those questions that you asked yourself at the very beginning, the kickoff meeting, and the deep dive sessions. Remember, add these as you go. That's why we started with creating the project outline first, so you're set up for success to add in things as they come up. And start assigning those responsibilities out to your team members. Who is tackling what? Work backwards from that audit deadline date to set due dates for each task and component of your audit. Regular check-ins here is going to help keep everyone on track and ensure that the audit moves forward smoothly. I know you already know this, but communication is key to making this work and flow like the project should. I like to curate a task view for my project to view all tasks that are associated to the audit project. See statuses, due dates, assignees, all in one place. Again, we use Airtable as our project management tool, so that's what you see here. But use what you have. Use what works for you and experiment with tools if needed to see what works best for your team. What I do like about Airtable and other similar project management tools is that you can comment, you can tag people, you can ask questions in each of the tasks. So it's easy for anyone on the team to kind of pop into any task and see relevant conversations and updates. All right, if you take anything away from this presentation, please let it be this. This is so important. Implement a regular email audit cadence. This is not just a one-time thing. Consistency is really key here. Okay, picture this with me for a second. You've completed your email audit. Everything is great. You're feeling good about where you stand. Do not get comfortable here. You aren't done. Things change all the time in this space. Filters, audiences, automation, data, visuals, copy, web pages. The list can go on and on. Things change. We know this. And regular audits will help you catch those small issues before they become big problems. I also recommend using these audits as a learning opportunity for your team. Maybe dedicate a section of your post-audit meetings to discussing emerging trends in email marketing. What can you kind of test and loop into your next cycle? This keeps the process dynamic and forward-looking. Email audit should never just be a one-time thing. This will be an ongoing process. Implement a regular audit cadence that works for you and your team. This is not going to look the same for everyone. I have an example up here of a quarterly audit schedule, but that might not be the best solution for you, and that's okay. Find what is manageable for your team. The most important thing is that you don't just stop after one audit. That way, you're constantly improving and ensuring compliance as your email strategy evolves. And schedule these audits in advance and plan for those regular check-ins to stay on top of things. It's about continuous improvement, right? So make continuous improvement part of your email culture. Email audits are all about iteration. So each audit should be informing your next. And this will help you develop actionable recommendations and strategies based on your audit results to optimize your email performance and enhance your user experience. The more you audit, the more you learn, and the better your emails and your strategies will become. So keep a running log of things you've adjusted, things you've tested, what you've improved upon. This way you can track your progress over time, which is really important. And this will also help you when it comes to justifying those resources spent on these audits. You can show concrete improvements in deliverability, engagement, compliance metrics. I give the example of a quarterly audit on this slide because that's how I schedule my audits. However, I don't always keep this exact schedule either. For example, we had a Q1 and a Q2 audit for this year. During Q2, we had a lot going on. There were a lot of updates that needed to be made. We had a lot of things as a team we needed to add into our deep dive sessions. And by the time Q3 rolled around and it was time for another kickoff meeting, we were still kind of in the thick of it from the previous audit. So our Q3 kickoff was canceled. We continued where we were in our current audit, and we'll pick back up with our next audit for Q4. So flexibility is key here. Go with the flow. Take things as they come with these audits, especially if this is a new process for you. The most important thing is not doing one each quarter. The most important thing is setting up a regular cadence and not just setting it and forgetting it. And wrapping up, encourage your team to see audits as an opportunity for growth rather than a chore. They can be fun. Remind them that the more you audit, the more you learn, and the better your email programs will be. That's it for today. Thank you so much to everyone who showed up to this session. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you found this session helpful and that you're excited to take these strategies back to your teams. I'd love to connect with all of you. I've listed my contact information on this slide. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, want to dive deeper into anything we covered, chat about all things project organization, or just introduce yourself and make a new friend in the email space. Thanks for joining me.